Welcome to Whiskey and Whiskers. Today we're going to talk physics and shit.
So here we go.
Drop it, Blake.
Welcome to Physics and Shit, ladies and gentlemen. I thought it'd be cool to talk about physics and shit over the all of creation, and the idea is eventually we're gonna get there, but we're gonna start on the smallest scale, and we're gonna have to build on that with other episodes of physics and shit. So eventually we'll get to the point where we understand all of life and existence. But today I want to talk about string theory. Einstein grasped and propagated this idea of general relativity, which explains how big things, big shit, works, like planets and stars and black holes, like how they associate with each other. And then there's this quantum mechanics on the other end of the spectrum that tries to explain how really small shit, like atoms and particles, work. They've both been tested. They're generally believed by the scientific community, but both exist almost exclusively and don't really play well together. So string theory is just an attempt to unify these two sets of rules. And if you break it down, it goes like this. So if you zoom in to a particle of any kind, eventually you're going to find that it's made up of vibrating strings. If you had just the most badass microscope, go down as hard as you can, you'll see a string that makes up the shape of the particle. And how
would that be making up protons, neutrons, and electrons?
Everything, yeah, all particles. And how these particles vibrate determines what particle it is, like an electron, a quark, a proton, whatever. So in order to satisfy all the different phenomena, both on the quantum level and on the cosmic level, the strings have to vibrate in more ways than just up, down, left, and right. So they actually need to vibrate in 10 different, air quote, directions. Or to use a more scientific term, 10 different dimensions could be another way you could say it.
Now we can vibrate in any direction.
And they also have to move in time. So this is the best explanation we have right now. There's really no way to test it without stepping outside of our known universe and testing from a greater multiverse perspective, or where our reality coexists with alternate realities and shit like that. And as our reality or any of these realities expand and wane in an epic cosmic dance, it's easy to let your imagination run wild. In this reality I'm poor, but in an alternate reality I might be rich, or something like that. In this reality I'm skinny fat, but in a different reality I'm fucking Jack Diesel. And both of those might be accurate, maybe even probable, but what I don't want is for people to get the science twisted or get confused. In no iteration of our reality or any other reality in our cosmic universe do chicks want to fuck you. Perhaps in a multiverse with infinite possible realities, there's a small, minuscule chance, microscopic even, that you could trick somebody into pity fucking you, in a drunken stupor or something. But in reality with only 11 dimensions, it doesn't really matter how your string vibrates. Your chances are precisely 0. So that sucks for you, dude. I don't make the rules. It's just physics and shit.
Hell yeah.
So what do you guys think about string theory?
I mean, all right, so first of all, string theory is a fucking trip. Fuck me, that's a deep rabbit hole.
I feel like it's just the start, right? It's just the beginning of all these other, if I start going into how I think the world and reality and shit actually works, it's just the place you begin.
Yeah.
And it's because it starts on the quantum level, but it transcends and goes to the cosmic scale. All of science is all of physics is looking for a unified theory of everything to make quantum physics reconcile with general relativity. And this is just the best version we have.
Right.
What do you guys think about 11 dimensions? These are 10 spatial dimensions and 1 time dimension.
Do you think that cats can transcend the dimensions, hence they have the 9 lives?
Nah, fuck cats.
Cats are bullshit.
Bullshit animals.
How many
They're one evolution up from squirrels.
But how many dimensions do you want to fuck cats?
Every conceivable universe.
Yeah, if there's 11, that'll take out their 9 lives for sure.
No,
yeah.
but see, okay, so if we're really getting serious though, string theory doesn't go into alternate realities. It actually just talks about dimensions. that confuses people. They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
what's the... No, I'm not talking about a different reality where, we're all white instead of black, or we're all, straight instead of gay, or something like that. I'm
Or,
talking
yeah,
about...
you lick somebody's butthole and you get a boner.
Yeah. I'm talking about 10 different spatial directions. So, like, you can go up, down, left, and right, and then you can also, like,
Northeast,
go
northwest,
somewhere else.
southeast,
So that's where
southwest.
most of my dick is.
Well, okay, so yeah, that's a thing. Like, something could exist, and it's okay. So you imagine a plane like a sheet of paper, and if you took a knife or something and you stuck through that sheet of paper. Now imagine you're an ant or something even smaller living on that plane of paper. All you would see is a big ass circle in front of you, right? Like a flat circle. But in reality, you wouldn't even be able to grasp that there's an up and a down to that three-dimensional object. So imagine us on a three-dimensional plane, something intersects it. All we could conceive of is the three-dimensional aspect of that thing.
Is this what actors do when they're in a movie and they start talking to the audience?
No, that's breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, like Deadpool.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is Deadpool's a physicist?
probably.
Yes, most definitely.
That would definitely fit his character.
Not to get
Not intentionally, but
not to get too serious about it, but I've heard, just through YouTube bullshit and random readings on the internet, that shamans, like in the rainforest, when people do ayahuasca, they describe people as like an onion, but they can pierce the onion and all the
Oh yeah,
different levels of it,
Shrek has the same philosophy.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty sweet, dude.
That's a nice boulder.
Onions have layers. What
No,
about
but I mean, like what you're talking about like, these different layers of reality that are either experienceable or not.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is there could be just one other dimension, right? And there's all this shit around us that we never even know it exists, and yet it's there. It's there in space.
Yeah, even like just physical stuff, like electromagnetic spectrum shit,
Well,
like RF. You can't see your cell phone call coming in. You know what I mean? Like you're not aware of it at all.
But it's there.
It is, yeah.
On the right hallucinogens, you actually can see your cell phone call come in.
Yeah,
Pretty
for
sure.
sure. Yeah.
And see things that exist in reality that you don't normally see. Like you can
Sounds.
almost see. Well, you can almost see like the living organisms living, like trees. Like you look at a tree sober and it's just sitting there. And you look at a tree in another dimension, possibly. It looks like that tree's moving and breathing, living.
Yeah, for sure. No, I've definitely I've had a really close friend that I've talked to a lot about it, and he's done some crazy stuff on some crazy trucks, and the trees will talk,
Yeah,
That's
they
for
will.
sure. At a level, you know what I mean? Depends what drug you're on to. Whiskey, lots of whiskey.
Yeah, or coffee maybe.
Yeah,
dude,
the
that's no
coffee will-
shit though. I can see sounds when I drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah, that's a real thing for sure.
And you start dancing to them when you have a lot of whiskey.
Yeah.
It's a fine balance of how many cups to drink in the morning before your eyes start vibrating.
Dude, it's intense.
And for me, it's
Like
about
camping?
half.
Yeah.
About half a cup of coffee, and my eyes start bouncing around and shit. It's
Whoa.
crazy.
I like it.
I can't do caffeine. I mean, I can, but like it fucks me up fast.
I do caffeine.
Do y'all
Yeah.
do y'all get what I'm talking about though? Like, so if you imagine the physical structure itself, it's a two-dimensional string, not 3 dimensions. It's 2 dimensions, and some like say for instance, if there's 10 dimensions, this string vibrates in these two, it's an atom, and if it vibrates in these two, it's a quark or something, and depending on the dimensions that it's vibrating, because 2-dimensional, so it has to vibrate, right? It has to go in 2 directions. So if it vibrates in any, depending on what 2 dimensions it vibrates in, depends on what type of particle it is. So if you take any 2 particles in a vacuum and you drop them in, they behave, which is fucking nuts. Like, if with no outside influence, they do something, So the thought is it's because of these strings that are vibrating that are making them, that make up their structure.
Oh, like guitar strings.
Yeah.
Or
Like Eddie Van Halen's just fucking ripping it all the time, and life's happening. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And if he stops playing his guitar, dude, everything's gonna stop.
Well, and I think where this is eventually going to go is we're starting at the smallest level, and we're gonna eventually decide like how the entire universe was created, and we're gonna solve all the mathematical problems of the universe.
So what if
and
God-
the multiverse, in fact.
What if God was a woman and those strings were like her tampon, and you fucking pull the tampon out?
That would be fucking nuts. And then a turtle would eat the whole thing.
Dude,
Now, what gets me, dude, is like all right, so it's vibrating in 11 different dimensions, right?
Yeah, 10 in time.
10 in time. So what makes it fun for me and what I like to imagine is like, all right, so we figure out what those dimensions are, whatever it is. What happens when we start to be able to see the things in that dimension or are able to go there
Or generate
whatever
a
it is?
portal. Yeah. some
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
I don't think we
portal.
can because it's not a.
Yet.
I'm not talking about dimension like in Ninja Turtles where there's the fucking whatever
Right, yeah,
dimension.
yeah.
Oh, you lost me, man.
I'm talking about directions, like
Yeah.
literal dimensions.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
like you talking about Ninja Turtles.
So I don't think what is it, Dimension X or something like that?
I don't know.
remember. But where Krang lives. But no, by
That shit's
dimensions I
real,
just mean
dog.
like the physical directions that it can go. And outside of 3 dimensions, now it's vibrating in 4 and 5 dimensions. instead
Right,
of 2 and
but
3.
so I mean, use time as the example of one of the dimensions we're talking about. Like, in that respect, like eventually we would, if we got a good enough grasp on it, I guess in theory you would do time travel to see different spots of that dimension. So imagine a spatial dimension to where like we can't see something for whatever reason, but like if we
I think the
if we
best we can hope
conquer
for
it-
is be able to prove that it's there. I don't
Yeah.
think we're ever going to be able to see it.
Definitely not within our lifetime, for damn sure. But like, I don't know. I guess so. Even say you can't go there, but I guess more of what I'm saying is like imagining what is there, or like trying to get a grip on what that actually is. It's just kind of a
Yeah, we're
Kind
not
of a
wired
mind
for
fuck,
it. We don't have
yeah.
the capacity for it.
Although I will say radio frequency, like Chris said, that's a really, really weird one that feels like a dimension that we have crossed over and got our arms around and grasped that normal human minds can't really see or wrap their heads around. But like how radio frequency identification works for sure. Like it's just a little chip, like a little piece of metal that spins around in a circle basically, and it when a radio frequency hits it, it starts to vibrate, like you said, and once it vibrates to a certain point, it pops and it shoots off a number, and that number can be used for
You're
identification.
turning me on right now.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Popping off over
It
there.
vibrates, and then it pops.
Numbers,
That's
numbers.
exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens. But these are things that we can't see. We know they're happening and we understand, like Chris said, but we can't see it. So could you consider that a dimension that we've kind of transcended into and
I think we can see the signs of it, right? We can see the pieces.
well, I mean, I guess audio, the fact that we hear things.
We can see where it intersects our plane, and we're like, oh shit, look, it's affecting our little.
We can infer
existence.
something from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, that's how like, I don't know. The white noise on the radio, they say that's the creation happening. It's just this electromagnetic dump into the ether, so to speak.
We figured it out. We've put science behind it now. My point is, for most of humanity, they didn't understand this stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
They couldn't comprehend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
we
eventually,
made it our bitch, made it work for us.
Yeah, well, and now we have science behind it, and I feel like if we somehow figure out
Science.
that some of this stuff is real, and we start to transcend in these other dimensions, that eventually we're going to be able to put science behind it.
yeah, and once we grasp it, then we're like masters of our own universe, like He-Man.
Yeah, well, kind
Hell
of
yeah.
like humanity as it is right now. We continue to grasp things that are out of our realm. That's how we end up with Terminator, fucking killing robots.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah. Well, that's something to ponder. So
Yeah, so later we'll get into, split particle experiment and Schrodinger, and we'll eventually get to,
the point where everybody's minds melt.
black holes.
Hell yeah.
After Blake shits his pants.
Schrodinger's whatever the fuck.
Well, let us know what you think. Hit our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, anything you can find us on. And be sure to check back in on Monday for another episode. You can listen to us on iTunes, on Spotify, Google Play, and on Podbean. So be sure to check it out, and we'll see you on Monday.